Welcome to Boris FX Live. Sponsored by Dell Precision Workstations. Create without limits. And by NVIDIA. And Intel.
Hello and welcome into Boris FX Live. I'm Ben Brownlee and we will be looking at what's new in the Boris FX Continuum set of filters today. We're going to be looking at new effects, big updates to particle illusion, and bigger, better transitions. I'll be joined by Continuum Product Manager Peter McAuley, Nick Harauz, who is Director of Marketing for Continuum, and Creative Director Ian Robinson from Creative 111. You may recognise Ian actually as the voice and face behind the brand new premium Sapphire training series, Sapphire Essentials, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. With such a crop of talent here, I am happy that we're live, and that's because we want to hear from you, and here's how you do it. If you're watching on YouTube or on borisfxlive.com, there will be a lovely little chat window to the right hand side of the viewer. Just tippy tap your questions or comments in as they pop into your brain, and we'll try to get to them as we proceed through today's event. There is another reason why you might want to go to borisfxlive.com, and Brian is showing it to you right here. Yes, we have a competition running today, and you can win one of many, many big prizes. So all you have to do is go to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, tap in your details there, and you'll be in the running for winning one of our big prizes today. Full terms and conditions are there, obviously. And what do we have to give away? Well, hopefully we've got some lovely little graphics here. We have a copy of Continuum, which is the multi-host Continuum suite. The annual subscription, a $695 value, going away to one lucky winner. We also have a couple of Particle Illusion Premium licenses to give away as well. I don't know if we've got a graphic for those, but I will assume that we don't. And we have the big one as well. So one lucky winner is going to be walking away from the stream today with an annual subscription of the full Boris FX Suite. So that's everything that we make, including Continuum, that we're going to see today. Oh, thank you very much. Particle Illusion, Silhouette, Mocha Pro, Sapphire, and Optics. And there's the graphic for Particle Illusion. Thank you very much. Oh, no, we're back to Boris FX Suite. In Mission Control, we have the inimitable Mr. Brian Fox. So thank you very much for being behind the wheels of steel today.
Apologies.
So we're off to a strong start.
Strong start.
Strong start. It does get stronger. Let's talk about who helps to make this possible, though, shall we? I want to say thank you to our sponsors, NVIDIA, Dell, and Intel, for helping to make these live streams possible. We're very grateful to each and every one of our sponsors. But let's take 5 seconds to talk about the Dell Precision 3660 tower. Some people have called it a cost-effective but scalable performance in a mini tower design. I like to think of it as a 12th generation Intel Core CPU up to 16 cores. And, you know, never ever let me forget about the Dell optimizer for precision. So thank you very much to Dell for helping to get this stream up and running in the professional way that it is going right now. I think that's one of our better starts, actually. Should we start things off properly? Yeah, let's start things off. We're gonna kick off with a quick chat about Continuum, what it is, where it fits into your workflow, and we've got some great guests to talk about that today. I'm going to start off with Peter McAuley. Peter is the Continuum product manager, and he has a unique perspective on how the product has grown and developed. Peter, welcome back, as ever, to Boris FX Live.
Lovely to see you, Ben. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you too. Thank you for being here. I look forward to diving deep into your brains and pulling out that sweet, sweet knowledge meat.
There's a few years of knowledge in there with this product. No doubt about that.
There certainly is. All right, let's bring in our next guest. Our next guest is Nick Harauz. He is a veteran editor, producer, and trainer. It's been a delight to welcome him to Boris FX as Director of Marketing for Continuum. Welcome, friend of the show, and dare I say, friend, Nick Harauz. Hello, Nick.
Oh, hey, how's it going, Ben? Good to be here. It was great to be part of your proper intro this time.
It's nice. It's nice. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm gonna move on, I think, to see if I can upset someone, because I think this is the first time we've had Ian as a guest on this part of Boris FX Live, because our final guest today is another talented trainer. He's also a creative director and founder of Creative 111. He's the author of the new training series Sapphire Essentials. Thanks for joining us on the show, Mr. Ian Robinson.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. I'm very excited to be here. I've been using these products for many, many, many years. So when I actually got to hang out with you all at the various conferences and things like that, it was always kind of exciting. So this just kind of takes it up another level, actually being live here with you all. So I'm stoked to be here. Thanks.
It's very nice. No, thanks everyone for being here. Especially thanks to Ian, who I don't get to talk to on a daily basis. So it's really
this is
really
true.
good.
Lots of emails back and forth.
lots of emails. Yes.
Yeah.
It's and comments on Frame.io, which we're not plugging today. But maybe we'll get the sponsorship of that next week.
Right.
Should we start with the little chat then? I think I'd actually like to start with Ian, because he's our new favorite guest. Like you're first introduced to Sapphire as a tool. What was your first take of that when you were hands on with the application?
Yeah, so I do have to say this goes way back to when I was at Discovery as one of their art directors, and different folks in the group had angled to get a license of Sapphire. And honestly, the second that happened, it was like everything had to have a Sapphire effect on it. It was just the glows and the lighting effects. Everything was just so silky smooth and beautiful. It got to be kind of funny. I wouldn't complete a project without a Sapphire effect on it. So yeah, when I had the chance to do this latest training, I definitely jumped, because it's something that I love, and I really feel like it gave me the ability to take, the different projects I was working on from, a nice level of being finished with polish to like a totally other level of being finished. And the joy in that was the fact that I could do that, and it didn't take my render times from, one dimension to the next. I could actually do it and decrease render times, especially with some of the blur and glow effects that had I used the different native effects and built them to that close level, it would exponentially increase my render times. But when I started working with Sapphire, it was just like I could apply all these different glows and effects and different things, and it would just work quickly. And it just seems like over the years it's gotten faster and faster and faster. So you can see all the different projects that we created here in the training. Each different one had, different beautiful, I like to use the word silky effects in there, because it was just that little bit of polish that doesn't happen when you're just like, oh, apply glow. Like, it just doesn't work. But with the Sapphire effects, it was really great to just be able to drop those in and then go into the effect browser and browse through all the different presets that have been created, and then start from almost a place of finish and really kind of, make it your own. So it was good stuff. for sure.
Well, I mean, that's probably one of the themes that we're going to be returning to quite a lot over the next 90 minutes. And it's that idea of how you can start to use these effects to kind of polish and take the projects to the next level. I mean, some of the stuff that we're going to be seeing later, it's just like little secrets about how you get stuff looking just that little bit more silky. There we go. I'm going to steal your word right from under your face. And I think that's, that's something that I'm definitely going to be talking about in my little presentation later. But I mean, moving over to Continuum, I'm going to direct this one to Nick, because you're fairly fresh to the Continuum team. Like, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about Continuum? Because you're facing these for the first time now.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions to me, and this is coming from a fresh perspective, like you mentioned, Ben, is just the absolute vastness of it. And it's impossible in some ways to sum up Continuum, even or capture it in a page of everything that it has to offer. It's a series of over 350 effects with thousands of actual presets, and to show the vastness of what it has to offer is sometimes not what we're looking at doing is actually trying to communicate that better and better of what you're able to do. Continuum itself has tools which you can use for transitions as a video editor. You've got standard effects that can be used both for color correction and can be transported cross-platform, that also extend the capabilities of certain NLEs. And then you have several motion graphics and VFX elements also built into it, including compositing, motion graphics with Title Studio and particle illusion. So when I think a misconception, it's just like, okay, well, this package doesn't have a lot to offer. But in fact, it's just that the ultimate array of things that you can do and create are, it's quite limitless in some ways. And I think that there's several parallels with that and Sapphire in some cases. You were just on a webinar with the team from the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And something that I found, which was great in that, was their use of BCC plus Prism. And this is one of the 350 effects, but can be used for like some amazing chromatic aberration treatment. And it's something that I didn't know you could use it in that particular way. So in terms of misconceptions, again, how much there is to offer. And I guess the second component to that being that you can always discover or build new things and discover new things along the way.
Yeah, excellent. I think that's it. I mean, it is, if you're coming fresh to the suite, having 350 effects, plonked in front of you can be a little bit overwhelming. Absolutely. I think this moves over to Peter, because you were here at the inception pretty much of Continuum when it wasn't 350 effects. When you think about those early days of Continuum, what was around there, and how's it changed in the years since?
Wow, changed immeasurably. Okay, so when we first rolled out Continuum, it was basically a companion to Boris AE. So we had Boris AE3. This is back in 99, year 2000, right around then. And then we wanted to make a new product. So we made this new product, Boris Continuum. And it was 20 filters, not 350. So we had this product Continuum with its 20 filters. And then we went to version 2 and we added, I think, about another 20 filters. And we thought, okay, well, let's call it Continuum Complete, because now it's the completion of the move from Boris AE over into BCC, Boris Continuum. So that was about 40 filters. And in between then and now, it's like grown by almost an order of magnitude, which is truly amazing, but not just in the number of filters that are included in there, but it's grown in its capabilities. So essentially, every single filter in there is now a compositing solution, not just a filter. So when we talk about, say, like a blur, there's this feature inside of every Continuum filter called the pixel chooser. And the pixel chooser is a way to isolate each filter to a specific region or pixel-based matte, which is generated on the fly in the filter itself, and includes, as of, I think, maybe 3 revisions ago, the Mocha planar tracking and masking system. And this really just like drove the filter set into new ways of being used. So for instance, I was demoing some filters down with a customer in Connecticut some years back, and they said, we do the show, and in the show we need to like blur out several people in the audience at the same time. I said, okay, well, we've got this filter called a witness protection filter, and what this witness protection filter was designed to do was to create a mask using the pixel chooser, and it was just like a standard shape at that time, like a geometric shape such as an oval or a square. So I'd show them how to create this shape, and they're just like, okay, well, super. Well, I need more than one shape. And I'm like, okay, well, you can have multiple iterations of the filter. You could have, say, 20, 50, however many instances of the filter on a single track, or build up tracks if you want to do adjustment layers and do it that way. He's like, yeah, okay. What if you were to expand that for us? So I brought this information back to Boris. And this is typically the way we develop filters. So I went in, and Boris and I put our heads together and started chatting about things. And this is when Mocha came along, and we incorporated Mocha into the filter, and I brought it back to them on a second visit. And I said, hey, we listened to what you said, which is typically the way we do it. We'll go out and listen to customers and bring the feedback into engineering and rebuild a filter set and come out with a new set of tools that properly give these users the tools that they need. So this new tool was Mocha, and I showed them, hey, listen, now I've got this witness protection filter. I can have any number of masks. There's no limit. And not only that, but they're all trackable with this planar tracking system, either in one go or individually or however you want to work. And they were just flabbergasted. And this was it for them. They were like so happy. And I was like, okay, here are these other filters. And, another example of this was I was in CBS around the street there. And again, doing some demos, showing them some new filter technology, answering questions, doing a little bit of training. And one of the editors there said, I've got this problem, and I'm wondering if you have a solution for that in your filter set. So the problem was she was bringing in iPhone footage, so vertical shots into this horizontal sequence. And obviously, they did what most people do. So they're like, okay, now we have to take in another shot, put it underneath it, stretch it, scale it, put this one in, do all of this work. She's like, I'd like, to know if you have any automated tools for this. And I was like, well, we don't, but, stay tuned. So again, back with Boris, we chat about it, and we build this new tool for them, and this became our reframer tool. So typically that's the way we do things. Well, we don't just like pull everything like out of our knowledge base, but we seek knowledge from people who are actually using these products and encountering problems and issues either with the product that they can't solve, or like with other product that they can't solve. And that's just like I'd like to touch on one more thing quickly, which is one of the great things about this company is not just in its innovation, but the openness to bring in new tools into the tool set. And I mentioned Mocha there, the integration of Mocha into all of these filters, and it's been a complete game changer. It not only for Continuum but also for Sapphire. So, for instance, I could perhaps start working with the Continuum Fast Film Glow, for instance, and create this glow at setup and isolate it using Mocha masking and tracking. And then let's say I send this out to the client for approval. Client comes back and says, I really prefer the Sapphire Glow. This looks nice, but I really wanted the Sapphire Glow. I have to have it. And you think, oh my God, I'm going to have to do all this work again, blah, blah, blah. Well, because we can exchange Mocha data between Continuum filters and Sapphire filters, what this would mean for the editor is about maybe 5 minutes of work. Export the project from Mocha, load up the Sapphire filter, re-import the Mocha project, done. That's how easy it is, and that's what we've done. We just like try to like make the product easier for everybody to use.
Yeah, I kind of like to think like the Continuum filters are a little bit like a magician's hat. Like you put it on the table, you think you're getting one thing, and you're getting that, and then you put your hand back in the hat, and you're pulling out something else again, and it's in the same filter. You got, you know, beat reactor. You put your hand in again. Oh, you've got the mocha masking and tracking. You put your hand in again. Oh, okay. Well, now I've got pixel chooser plus the expanded BCC plus pixel chooser, and you know, at the end of it, your you know, your table's full of rabbits. So whether you like rabbits or not, that's up to you.
Makes a
But, you
good
know,
stew.
Continuum's got them for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
mentioned
head over to. Oh, sorry. Crack on, Pete.
Oh, sorry about that. That was the lag there. But yeah, you mentioned BCC Plus, and that's something I didn't touch on there in my little chat, which is, you know, it's something which is going to be new.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it, Peter. Oh, we'll get to it.
We're going to get to it.
You calm yourself down there. Yeah. Calm yourself down. No, it's Nick's turn to talk now. Because like, again, Nick, you're coming at this from a sort of different direction. You've been there in the hot seat, as it were, for, you know, many years. I mean, what sort of situations were you using Continuum for?
Several. So I a lot of stuff that I was doing with Continuum and with Sapphire, and in fact, before I started here at Boris FX, I was introduced to both of the products roughly at the same time, maybe a 2 or 3 month difference. So I was treating them as separate packages, and at the time I gravitated towards a few things. Definitely the film glow. I loved the look of it and the beauty of it. I used it on several products, and sorry, by products I mean my actual finalized edits. When I was first introduced to Continuum, actually, I just recollected, I was introduced to it twice within my actual editing career. So once was when I first started editing in Final Cut. So this is Final Cut 4 or 5 at the time. So there were a much more limited amount of effects, but film glow and the transitions were something that I gravitated towards for the content that I was putting together at that point. And then as it evolved 6 or 7 years ago, when I started cutting more content in Premiere and Avid, I was introduced to Continuum again. I went to those similars of effects that I had learned earlier, but then started playing around with things like the light leaks, which was in the package at the time. Not to mention something that I absolutely loved was both the lens flare capabilities, as well as something as simpler as the clone remover tool at the time, or BCC remover. Some really helped with being able to just remove some blemishes, primarily in Avid-based workflows. So those were the tools that I gravitated towards. And now, when I look at it again, so this is the most recent perspective. We're talking December 2021, BCC Prism, and I have to say the color correction effects that were just recently introduced, especially the grain emulsion, it's incredible. And you can get some fantastic looks right away, or even build on looks with existing color correction effects. And I find that to be more of an unexplored portion of Continuum for a few reasons, because it is essentially a whole new set of color correction tools. And not to mention, it offers just a ton of possibility. Why I think it's overlooked in some ways is that you do have color correction tools in your video editor, right? Premiere Pro or Final Cut, and you might gravitate towards one of those first. But I do have to say, with that grade and diffusion, as well as the realistic film emulsion, it can definitely take your shots a long way.
Yep, I agree. I think that's really well said. Like Ian, you've been around the block a couple of times. How has video editing changed for you in that time? You know, the use of effects and color correction. You know, that's something that I've noticed that's changed. You know, in my career. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and date myself here. I came into the industry at the end of the 90s, so I was an assistant editor, and my job was basically running back and forth from the edit room to change tapes to put into different systems. And we had online suites and offline suites, and Avid was just barely starting to be, really dominant in the industry, but it was still, a lot of finishing in the online world, which, those of us who have been in the industry used to doing everything on your computer, you're probably like, what on earth is that? And it was really kind of interesting to see how everything on the professional level evolved from, multiple people each specializing in tiny little things to one person actually doing everything from soup to nuts. So really the evolution of nonlinear editing on computers, going from, computers that required, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of external hardware to actually be able to do something that I can now do on my laptop. It's kind of unreal. And so as this progression has been happening, it's been really nice as the tools from Boris FX have continued to evolve as well. So now when I actually edit something, I'm not just doing a rough cut for an offline edit that then I output an edit decision list to someone else to actually take it into the online room to actually, bring in the high res footage. I can just do it all on my machine. And so now, the same thing sort of happened with color correction. Of course, I have a lot of friends that are color correction professionals, and I don't degrade what they're doing at all. I highly recommend working with them directly. But, for a lot of the smaller projects, if you're just trying to crank something out to put up on YouTube or your own individual website or, whatever your output medium or delivery method is, it's kind of amazing. You can do, all the rough edits, you can do the final edits, you can output everything just locally on your system. And, the Boris tools, like we said before, just really kind of allow you to take your, finished polish and just bump it up just that extra little bit and create some effects that, really would be extraordinarily time intensive if you were to try and build them with the native tools. It's just kind of amazing how all of this has changed. And I mean, we're talking the 90s, so I know that's, 25 years ago. But still, I mean, that's not really that long amount of time to see this massive change. And, I mean, not to throw it back to our sponsors, but honestly, with the Dell computers and the Intel and the NVIDIA graphics card hardware acceleration and, even the hardware acceleration on the new M1 Max. I mean, it's just kind of amazing how everything has continued to evolve and just gotten faster.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that is, for people who are new or even relatively new to the to the experience now, like the joys of working in SD, doing very, very short but intensive effects that would take days to render, transitions could take a long time to render, just simple dissolves, not having to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the standard definition to high definition transition, I was the primary After Effects artist at the post facility I was working at. And I did a 7-second open for Smithsonian, and it required light rays to come out, which was, a plugin. And it to do a high definition render, 7 seconds of light rays on my computer took like 2 days, 3 days. I mean, It was unreal. So I would render like little 320 by 240 or, whatever tiny things I could render to make sure that it actually looked good. So the 3 days of render wouldn't be a total waste of time. So, the simple fact that I can take these effects on now and, drop it on and watch it play back, preview it, and stream it while I'm doing that. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I know I'm totally dating myself, but regardless, it's for those of you that are brand new to this industry, just I want you to appreciate how far it's come, because it's really kind of amazing.
Yeah. So, well, Peter, I think that leads me very, very smoothly into asking you about the future. I mean, what's the future now? Are we wanting to go back to 3-day renders? Is that the future?
Wasn't what I had in mind. No. But
okay, I'm just going to ask if people in the chat, if you would like 3-day renders back on the menu, please note that down in the request area in the chat. That's there, right. Please.
We'll have a brand new filter for you. It's called slow. No, but so where is Continuum going? I mean, it's a product which is so alive, and it is so under continuous development. I mean, the amount of effort that we put into these products is it's enormous, and the intelligence that goes behind every single option that we add in these filters is, it's incredible. I mean, one of our lead developers, Jason Clement, he has he's an astrophysicist. That's what his degree is, and that's the level of intelligence that goes into this product. So where is it going? It's we are continuing to expand it. So we moved from BCC to BCC Plus. And when we did that, and there were many reasons for this. One quick reason was, in the previous generation of Continuum filters, so the BCC filters that you see in the package, which are still there and still viable filters for folks to use, these filters had a preset selection system called the FX Browser, which was brilliant when it came out. People loved it, still do. But the feedback that we got from it was, folks said, well, this is great. I can look at all these different presets that you've curated and developed for us and factory installed, like these thousands of presets, which are super. But, the workflow that you've given me is I have to take the filter, go into the FX browser, select the preset that I want, and go apply back into the host, and then I can start changing this. Well, with the BCC Plus filters, we listened to you, and what we did was we have this relatively new feature called an FX editor, and by its name, which infers like being able to edit the preset. So what this gave folks was what they were asking us for, essentially, which was, hey, I now have this preset, I want to change it immediately, and I want to change it without having to go back to the host, and I want to change it and to be able to save this as one of my new custom presets. So all of this stuff we incorporated into the FX editor, which is included in every BCC Plus filter now. And it's fast and it's easy to use, and it has thousands of beautiful presets that have been developed, not just from scratch, but inherited from another product, which we've incorporated into Continuum. And beautiful stuff. I mean, like if you look at the BCC light filter, with like the thousands of gobo light effects that you have in there, and being able to customize and bring in your own gobos. You can create whatever look you want in there and save it out as a custom preset and share this with colleagues across different hosts and platforms. So you could be creating an effect inside of After Effects. Maybe in the graphics room, somebody got creative and used BCC Light to produce this beautiful look. And they want to use this in editorial. Well, all they have to do is save out this preset, pass it over to that editor, and no matter what, whether it's Macintosh or Windows, or whatever host they're using, whether that's Avid or Adobe or Resolve or Vegas or any of the supported hosts, they can then import that preset and not just use it, but they have the ability to modify it themselves and make further changes to it, which is brilliant. So we're going to continue that path of expanding the feature set and the filter set inside of Continuum and bringing more filters into this BCC Plus level of filtering, which includes this new FX editor. And we also listened in another way, which was making the filters easier to use. So we did that without sacrificing any of the editability and the flexibility that these filters have to offer the end user. So for instance, if you think about a blur filter, just the most basic filter, a blur, right? So we've got this BCC blur, and it might have like 12 different parameters in there. And the naive user jumping into this thing thinks, well, gosh, now I've got to learn, well, what does max iteration mean? And what does this feature mean? And what does that mean? And it can get confusing. So with the new BCC Plus filters, we made it easier. So it's a more simplified, yet feature-rich parameter set in there. So it's a little bit easier to use. It's faster. Every single new filter is 100% hardware accelerated. We take advantage of multi-cores, multi-GPU cores and CPU cores. So we're just doing everything we can to improve upon not just the speed, but the flexibility and the ease of use of all of the filters that are included in Continuum. So that's not going to stop. It's going to plow forward. So expect more greater things to come into Continuum. As you know, as I mentioned, we brought in the FX editor. We brought in Mocha. It's continuous, live, passionate development of this product. That's what you should expect to see.
And that's the word that I'm going to pick out, passion. There, it's definitely passionate, and there's definitely a huge amount of momentum in Continuum. In fact, there was talk of changing the name to No, there wasn't. No, it's Continuum. It's Continuum. We're not going to rebrand things live on air today. Maybe we are. All right, I'm gonna shift gears. I know we're gonna move on and actually show some stuff in a second. I've got two more questions that I want to ask people. One, I'm going to ask the group, and I want people to think about this because I want a really quick round robin of everyone's top 3 effects. Don't tell me now. Think about it, because I'm going to distract Nick by asking him one more question, which is, like, with all of these features in Continuum, someone new is coming into Continuum. What do you wish that they knew first, or you know, what should they be looking at and using more?
So if a user was coming into Continuum, let's say from Premiere or After Effects, the first thing that I would recommend, there's a way to do a search within your effects and presets browser. Let's use After Effects as an example right now. And you do a search, and you do a search for BCC Plus. That's going to reveal to you all of the effects that are GPU accelerated. Your general workflow is, I would select one of 3 effects to start. And it's just to sort of see all of the presets and possibilities available. So one of them, which isn't new, but is still one of my favorites, is BCC Plus Film Stocks. I recommend throwing this onto a clip and then clicking a little effects editor badge that Peter was mentioning earlier. This just is going to reveal to the effects editor where you can see hundreds of presets ready and available for you. You get kind of used to a space that's completely dedicated to just effects and looks, and then be able to play around with some of the properties and parameters. So that would be my suggestion. An alternative, if you're done with color correction effects, let's just say, the minute that you're trying Continuum at this point in time, I would recommend maybe checking out BCC Plus Light. This is one of the most unique effects, and one of especially when it comes to video and motion graphic workflows, in my opinion, the ability to have those light modifiers inside, where you're able to add a light modifier to your shots, position that with some corner pin controls, but not only that, just be able to choose from one of thousands of textures. So I think that that's a pretty cool, unique offering, and just will give you an example of the vastness that's there. With that said, once you start playing around in some of these effects, I think the effects idea, or the effects are endless. Not just in Continuum, but with all of the effects that are offered out there. And I am a big encourager of just trying to find some stuff within the effects package, if you have the time, and taking 10 minutes to play, because it just gives you an opportunity to go about these effects in a way where you're the artist, in the fact of playing with some properties or parameters, and just see what it does. and it might give you a really unique perspective towards a certain effect that the engineering team or the marketing team hasn't communicated. And I've seen several examples of artists in both Sapphire and Continuum, and when I see those unique perspectives of someone who's gone about an effect in a certain way, it's always amazing and wonderful to see. So that's what I would encourage someone to do.
That's good. Thanks, Nick. And you also cheated and gave me your top 3.
I did. Well, it was a dual question. I thought I would just cover both of those at once. What do you?
You did really well. You did really well. All right. I'll let you get away with that. Okay. Peter, top 3. Hit me. Go.
Okay, top 3. Number 1, Primat Studio. Who doesn't need a 3D keyer that can key practically anything? I've keyed gray screens with this thing. It's just truly tremendous and amazing. So, Primat Studio. Second one would be Video Glitch. It's such a beautiful, easy to use effect with a dearth of controls, and it's just amazing. Looks great on video, looks great on titles. I mean, that'd be the second one. Third one, got to go with Particle Illusion. I mean, that'd be my top 3 there. I mean, Particle Illusion, it's state-of-the-art particle generation system. Just fantastic.
What's up?
Oh,
did we lose audio?
There we go. Have we dropped audio?
Oh, we're back.
What, for me?
We're back.
Oh, we're back. There we go.
No, I heard everything Peter was saying.
Scary.
Yep. So that'd be mine.
Number 3. Give me a number 3 again.
Number 3 again would be Particle Illusion. Because who doesn't love a beautiful state-of-the-art particle system like Particle Illusion, built in with features that you will show later.
Pete, I love you, Peter, but I hate that you've stolen.
Pete's breaking the internet over here. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go to Ian now. What are your top 3 Continuum?
It's really hard for me to only choose 3, but honestly, I really love glows and the prism effect. So I'm going to go with Film Glow as probably my number 1. I just love being able to open up the presets and then use that as a basis to start whatever it is I'm designing. Just the beautiful fine-tuned controls, which I'm going to be showing you here in a little bit. The fact that it's hardware accelerated just makes life so much easier. And then I love the prism effect, BCC plus prism. It's just a really cool way to add a little bit more depth and interest to whatever type of glows or blurs you may have applied in the scene. It just, I know it's been kind of a popular look in Hollywood, and it's just something that I've always loved. So those would be my top 2. And then probably if I had to choose a third, it'd probably be Magic Sharp, because I can't tell you the number of times I've had a situation where someone has given me a shot that they have to use. Like, it was one of the times where, let's say you were shooting a wedding and you got them walking down the aisle, but it's just a little bit off on the focus. Nothing worse than just a little bit of softness, but to just drop Magic Sharp on there. I'm going to be showing you this in a little bit as well. Honestly, just with the default settings, it's kind of unreal what you can get just straight from applying it. But then to be able to take it in and, apply masks over the specific area or use the pixel chooser, it just makes that workflow so much faster. One thing that, you've heard me mention time and time again is speed. All of these are hardware accelerated, and the fact that, anything to add blur or glow or take away blur has always been render intensive. So the fact that we can use these and they're hardware accelerated and we can just keep rocking out our workflow, I mean, those have to be the 3 for me, for sure.
Excellent. And congratulations, you have stolen from me. You've swept away my alternate
Oh
3.
no.
I'm actually really upset because, okay, I've got one filter that
Okay.
hasn't been cruelly stolen from me, and that is wide angle lens. Okay,
Ooh.
and I'm going to show you why it's one of my favorites later, and I don't care what anyone says. I wasn't going to, but I'm definitely going to show it to you now. We'll have a look at that a bit later. All right. We do have to get on. We've got to move on, folks. If you're using Continuum at the moment, let me know what your favorite filter is. I don't need top 3. I need top 1, please. And that would be very, very handy. If you don't know what your favorite filter is yet, and you want to sort of just explore what other people are doing with the filters, I'm going to recommend heading over to the Boris FX training page. And the reason for that is that we have some very talented people and me making a lot of video tutorials that are exploring these all of these filters and coming at it from, you know, different angles. We have like a lot of you know, John Dickinson's motion graphics ones, you know, particle illusion ones. We've got, you know, Nick coming in hot with a lot of you know, film and gradient effects, and then you've got me sort of just popping in with a little mastering Continuum training series there. This is a lovely place to start if you want to get an idea of the language of Continuum, because there is like a, you know, golden threads running through the you know, through the effects. So yeah, go to the Boris FX website, go to training. You can even, you know, view by product and have a little look at the Continuum ones there, get inspired, have a little play, have a little experiment. You know, that's where it you know, that's where it starts coming to life for you.
Ben, can I add something?
No. Oh, go on then.
Okay. I love all of these training resources you're telling me, but you just reminded me also of some pretty amazing projects that you can actually use that reference both Sapphire and Continuum projects that John Dickinson did. And this is just, if you have the Boris FX Suite, a great way to learn. It looks like several of them were Sapphire, but you can see some Continuum ones as well, where he's created some pretty beautiful title intros there with Continuum and Sapphire. And you could download this project and start to get an idea of how this stuff was created, including some stuff with particle illusion and all the favorite effects that you guys have mentioned.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Don't think that I haven't shamelessly stolen tons of John's little tips and techniques from these projects and passed them off as my own, because I absolutely have. No, this is a fantastic resource here, and I'm very glad that John's around to make them, but not around in this live stream today. All right, let's give away some more free stuff, shall we? You know, we've got free stuff for everyone in the terms of presets, but we've actually got some prizes to give away right now here live on stream, and it's going to go very, very smoothly, as it always does. I think we're going to give away some particle illusion. We have 2 12-month subscriptions to particle illusion, the premium version of this filter. And they're going to go to some lucky winners right now. Our first lucky winner is going to be
Nice.
Here comes the drums. And our first winner is Aaron Ben Alal. Aaron Ben Alal. Congratulations, Aaron. You have won our first prize of the stream, which is particle illusion premium filter. Well done, Aaron. Let's go. Let's see who's gonna win the next one. We're on a roll. Our next prize is going to Caitlin McLeod. Caitlin, congratulations to you as well. You have won an annual subscription to Particle Illusion Premium. So yeah, well done to our 2 winners. We are going to be in contact with you very shortly in the next day to tell you how to claim your prize. But if you didn't win that, never fear. Stick around, keep watching, because we still have some other big prizes to give away. We're going to be giving away a full copy of Continuum annual subscription. It's a $695 value, folks. Come on. So that's going to go to one lucky winner in a little bit. And coming up later in the stream, we're going to be giving the big daddy away, Boris FX Suite, which is everything that we make, including Continuum, Sapphire, Silhouette, Mocha Pro, and Optics. That is going to go to one lucky winner as well. So stick around, watch. People are asking, Ben, how do I join in the competition? It's easy. Head on over right now to borisfxlive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, enter your name and email address and your details right there, just in that little box, and you will be entered into our competition for today. Terms and conditions are available on the page. If you're watching on YouTube, then and you're enjoying what you're seeing, there's a little hand down at the bottom. It's got a little thumbs up, just like this one, just like this one. If you can click that and make it turn a nice white color, that would be lovely. Fill in my like hand. It costs you nothing. It makes me happy. It helps us know that you're enjoying what you're seeing. So do that for me. Go to YouTube where you're watching it right now. Hit the like button if you're enjoying it, and don't forget to subscribe if you're also wanting to be up to date with the latest and greatest of all of the Boris FX content. Alrighty, let's move on to the next section of the stream. We're going to head back to Ian now. Ian, you're going to show us some new stuff, I do believe.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll go ahead and hop right back here. Let me change my screen sharing. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and show you 5 different effects. We'll just go ahead and jump in and get started with glitch. Okay. So I'm in After Effects as my host. I'm in the standard workspace. And if you look over here in the project panel on the left-hand side, you'll see I have 5 different folders, and these are the effects that we're going to cover. So I'll double click on the glitch start comp, and in here you can see I have a video clip named dance, and if I just press the space bar to go ahead and preview this, you'll notice we have kind of a shaky camera move and a gentleman dancing here. And while this looks pretty dynamic, I want to add the glitch effect, which is just going to add some digital hits into the scene and just create a little bit more visual interest. So to do that, I'll come over to my effects and presets panel here, and I'll start to type the word glitch. And you'll notice I have BCC plus video glitch and the normal BCC video glitch. Of course, I'm going to choose the hardware accelerated BCC plus video glitch. So to apply this, I can simply drag and drop it right here in the comp panel or right onto the video clip here in the timeline panel. And immediately you're going to see some glitch having been applied. So I'll move my current time indicator back to the beginning of the timeline here, and I'll just press the space bar to preview this glitch as it's being applied, and you'll notice it's playing back in real time, and I can see exactly what it looks like. But let's go ahead and press the space bar to stop playback here for a second and go up to the effect controls, and right up here at the top, I'm going to go ahead and open the FX editor. So usually when I'm working with any Boris effects, I work from the top down. Things are organized in a fashion in which the things you want to change most often are pushed towards the top. So here I'm going to click the FX editor, aptly named, so I can actually edit this. So when I come in here on the left-hand side, it's going to work logically from left to right. I can preview any of these different glitches simply by clicking on each of the different little preview panels here like so. And if I press the play button here, it'll go ahead and give me playback inside the FX editor, which is really wonderful. I don't have to just go ahead and apply something and then go to make my changes inside of After Effects like Peter was talking about. You can make the changes right inside of here. So let's see if I like this combined 08 look. Let's see if I want to make some changes. I can go ahead and stop. And over here, I have my parameters. Now, I could leave it playing back as I'm making changes, or I could just simply adjust the parameters by clicking and dragging up and down over the individual settings. So if I go to glitch intensity, this is going to change how intense the glitch is going to be applied. So if I increase that, you'll notice now it's much more intense. But if I go ahead and decrease that, you can see the glitch is going to be a little bit more, less, a little bit more less. All right. So I'll go ahead and stop that playback here. And let's say I want to go ahead and choose this damage medium just to see what that actually looks like. And that looks pretty good. But what if I want these bricks to be a little bit larger? Well, I can scroll down in my effects, and under block damage, I can look at the block intensity, and sure enough, there's a setting for block size. So I can increase the size of the blocks, and now it's just going to have similar settings, but just larger blocks. So if I like this, I can go ahead and simply click apply, and that'll get me back out of the FX editor and back into After Effects. So with my timeline panel active, I can go ahead and just press the space bar, and it'll go ahead and preview this. There we go. And once again, it's playing in real time, hardware accelerated. And so if I want to make any more changes to this, I can go ahead and stop playback or leave it playing. A lot of times when I'm teaching online, I'll stop playback and just move my current time indicator to a place where I can see the actual elements on the screen, and then I can make changes accordingly. So here under block damage, I could open up my block options. And if I make the effect controls panel a little larger, I could read all of the different options here. So notice how these blocks are saturated with different colors. I can go ahead and simply decrease the saturation if I wanted to have something that looked a little bit more grayscale. Let's say this was a video clip in like a security monitor or something, and you wanted it to have that kind of more grayscale look. You could go in and just decrease your block saturation. So like I said before, there are a number of different settings we could adjust, but what I did in this instance, I simply opened the FX editor, I browsed through some presets, I chose a preset that I liked, and then to make adjustments to that preset, I simply went down through some of the different options to see how I could make changes. Other changes that you'd want to change in this effect might be the intensity of the randomness, or the glitch intensity, like I showed you before, or the glitch interval. I'd say the glitch interval is definitely something you want to be familiar with, because this allows you to specify roughly the number of frames between each of the glitches that happen. So if you make this a lower number, it's going to add more glitchiness, and a higher number, it's going to give more space between each of the glitch hits. So that's glitch. Let me go ahead and jump into light leaks. I'll double click on light leaks start. And here you can see we've just got a profile of a woman in a car, and I'll stop playback here and search my effects and presets, and I'll look up leaks. And sure enough, there's the BCC plus light leaks, and I can just drag it and drop it. And I'll use the same technique that we had used before. I'll go up under the FX editor, and with the editor open, I can browse through the different light leaks. So I'm going to go to something that's a little bit more intense, like Light Leaks 8, and I'll just press play so I can see exactly how this is built. And you can see as it's being applied, I actually have choices of how these colors are being blended into the scene. I went ahead and stopped playback here because I could change my apply mode from screen to say multiply or lighter, and that's just going to give a little bit different feel as to how these leaks are actually applied. So when I click apply, you can see down here under my leaks, I have options for generators. Now, this preset was built using 3 different generators. What a generator is it's where a leak is actually generated from. And in here, I could choose the overall colors within each individual generator. So I can change the width and the height for each individual leak under each individual generator. So here under generator 2, I have more red colors. Under generator 3, I have red, orange, and yellow colors. So if I wanted to change these colors, I could go into each individual generator and make adjustments, or I could go back up towards the top and I could open up Stylize and simply just crank the hue like so. And if I wanted a more cool look, I could crank things so it's a little bit closer to blue. Okay. And if I don't want it to be quite as intense, I could decrease the saturation, give it a little bit more of a washed out look, and I could actually bring the opacity down a little bit. So now, even though I started with something that was red, I now have something that is a little more cool, and I could make adjustments accordingly. So in the stylize area, working from the top down, this will basically control everything that you're seeing below. So I can adjust the hue, the saturation, and it's going to adjust for all of the different generators. Now, under geometry, I could adjust exactly where these light leaks are taking place. If I wanted them to only be over in the lower left-hand corner, I could simply adjust the position, rotation, scale, etc. I could also do that for each individual generator. So you have a lot of control within the light and the light leaks, okay? So that's the basics of getting started in light leaks. Let's go ahead and jump into film glow, one of the things that I said is my absolute favorite. So here under film glow, I've got 2 different clips. You can see I've got one of this Mustang kind of going towards the camera and then one from behind. Now, anybody who's ever done color correction can know the challenges when you have more than one shot, because if you'll notice, this shot is a little bit underexposed because you have a lot more dark pixels in this area and the Mustang is kind of in the shadows. Whereas over here, it's a little bit more brightly exposed. And it's a higher angle. So if I went ahead and created, say, an adjustment layer and applied it over top of everything, I might have an issue when the effect goes from this darker clip to the lighter clip. So what I'm going to do is apply this effect to the first clip, and then I'll make adjustments to the second clip accordingly. So for this one, I'll go ahead and look up glow, actually film. There we go. Film BCC plus film glow. I'll drag it and drop it directly on the clip. And once again, I'll go into my FX editor. And in here, the glow that I like is this ultra soft glow. Now, another thing that I love about this effect is the fact that the effect editor is the fact that I can A/B test this. So I can see what the original looks like and then what the applied looks like. And if I don't want it over and under, I could have them go side by side and adjust this way. Or if I don't want to do that, I can just simply toggle that back off. The other thing that I love in here is the fact that I can see the histogram. So I can see the red, green, and blue channels, as well as the overall luminance of this being spread over the entire shot. So as I apply this, I can look at the histogram and make my adjustments, knowing whether I'm clipping brighter pixels or clipping off darker pixels as I make my adjustments. So in the parameter settings, the effect settings, I can adjust the output, the glow, the threshold. If I go to my threshold here, you can see it's just showing me the bright pixels that are going to be used to actually create the glow. If I just go to my output here, you can see where the glows are emanating from the brighter pixels. So I can adjust the glow radius simply by dragging that out. And this is that silkiness that I was referencing earlier. Notice how beautiful and nice and smooth this is just by adjusting the glow radius. If I wanted to tint the glow color, I could add a tint to that, but I love how this actually works. Of course, I can adjust the threshold as well, which will allow me to control exactly how many bright pixels are going to control that glow. So I'll go ahead and just bring this down so it has that nice, beautiful glow look to it. So I'll simply click apply. And if I want this effect on the other clip, I can just select it here in the effect controls, copy, and then go to the next clip, and I can simply paste. When I paste this, it's going to have that same effect, but you notice, like I said before, since this is a brighter clip, I might want to make some more adjustments. So in here, I can go ahead and adjust the intensity or the radius or the threshold. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the threshold here so it doesn't have as much of that glow, and I'll bring the intensity down just a little bit, and I'll actually tint the glow color just a little bit. And as I make these adjustments, you can see I might need to go back and change the intensity a little bit to see how that effect is going to be applied throughout this individual clip. So as I scrub down here in the timeline, I can actually go back and say, oh, you know what? Maybe the glow threshold should come down a little bit and the glow radius should come down a little bit so I can get a little bit more of that dreamy feel like I had in the first clip. So, of course, I can continue tweaking this. Maybe I'd want to go ahead and adjust the colors independent of each other. Down here, I can adjust the green, the blue, and the red separately. So if you noticed here in the top, I've got some more highlights that are green and yellow. I could come down here and I could maybe add some more green and yellow hue by adjusting my red, green, and blue channels independently. All right. I know I've got just a little bit of time left, so I'm going to show you really quickly Magic Sharp and Radial Blur, okay? So I'll open up Magic Sharp, and I want you to notice I've added an exposure adjustment layer here, which just allowed me to see the dancer a little more clearly. So I do this quite regularly when I'm working on different effects with darker shots. So you notice here I've got this beautiful glow, but I want to sharpen up the look right around her eyes. So I'll look up Magic. There it is. And I'll simply drag it and drop it directly onto my clip here in the timeline. So I'm making sure I'm not adding it onto my adjustment layer. So notice simply with the default settings, if I turn that off and I turn that on, you can see here in her hair how it kind of glows. I could sharpen that up just with the default settings. Notice her eyes are nice and sharp here. So this is where I'd go into the pixel chooser. Let's say I want her hair to have that nice glow, but I want her eyes to be sharp. In the pixel chooser, I can go ahead and turn that on. And under my mask settings? Yeah. Under my mask settings, I could simply add a circle mask and adjust those settings. I could adjust the scale on the X and Y. I could turn on the mask simply by enabling view mask. And so here, if I scale the mask, I can now simply adjust where this mask is applied. And then I'd want to invert this mask so the sharpness is in this area. Actually, no, I wouldn't want to invert it. Let me go ahead and see what it actually looks like. There we go. So now you can see I've got the nice glow on the hair, but I've got a nice sharp look on her eyes. And that's made possible by the pixel chooser. Last one, Radial Blur. And I'm going to use the pixel chooser in this one as well. So let me go here under Radial. BCC plus Radial Blur. Simply drag it and drop it right onto the train. So here I can set up the center of it. Let's see, I want the center to be a little closer over there, over the train. And as we scrub through, you can see how the Radial Blur has been applied. Now, I'd rather have this blur actually kind of work from left to right. So again, I can go into my pixel chooser. I can turn that on, and I could set a gradient, and I could set it linear, and I could set it from left to right. And now you notice I've got the blur actually going from left to right. If I go ahead and turn on my mask, you can see exactly what's happening here. So the lighter pixels are allowing the effect to come through, and the darker pixels are knocking it out. So again, just like the other effects, if I wanted to, I could simply come in here under the FX editor and browse some of the different presets that are in here if I wanted to do something that was a little crazier. But honestly, I didn't need to do that in this instance. So I just simply applied it and then used the pixel chooser to choose exactly how those effects are applied. So those are my kind of top 5 of the new ones. I'm going to go ahead and kick it back to the team here, and we'll go from there. What do you think, guys?
Loved it. I thought it was really good. Yeah. It's
cool.
It's so nice to see Magic Sharp pop up again. I honestly, I don't know how many times that filter's saved me from
absolutely
stuff
amazing.
that was just looks so sharp on that, on that 7-inch monitor when you're filming. It looks perfect there, but as soon as you get it in and look at it on something a little bit bigger, you just go, oh, I missed it by that much. And then Magic Sharp's there to save the day.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a beautiful filter, all right. Nice job. Really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Arnie in chat is saying the same sort of thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that was just the default settings. Obviously, you can go into the settings and kind of tweak it. But honestly, if you were just that close, honestly, the default settings are absolutely amazing. Maybe just use the pixel chooser to choose a specific area. But other than that, it's like you said, I can't remember the number of shots that it saved me.
I was going to say as well, Ian, it was great to see how you're using pixel chooser simplistically, because while you have that full control of Mocha masking that you can go to, and in some NLEs, you have your simple shapes like circles and squares, those extra features like the actual linear gradient that you use to have that taper off and have it available for you right away, without having to go into always going into a more complex solution. I thought that was great, just to kind of show the simplicity of being able to choose some of those presets right away and then taper off your effect.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I love about all this stuff is the fact that it's all very speed oriented, hardware accelerated, the default settings, or just the simplicity of choosing a linear gradient. I mean, it's all, like Peter was saying earlier, it's all in the effect now. No longer did I have to go create a new layer, generate a ramp, and then reference that other layer with the effect. It's just right in the effect. It's so helpful. And like you said, it just makes it quick.
Yeah, I love seeing the gradient as a little drop down now. Instead of having to find it, buried in one of the other things, it's just they're right there for you, which I really appreciate in the pixel chooser.
Oh yeah,
thank you.
And for our and for our Avid users, they should notice that we've actually moved the entire pixel chooser with this version of the filter up to the very front of the filter, so we're front loading it. And I have to say, it was not an original idea. It came from one of our sister products, Sapphire. That team, they in their research, they thought, well, gosh, a mask is the first thing that you're going to want to produce in this filter. You want to mask it back a little bit. So they put that right up at the top. They front loaded it. And we looked at it one day and we thought, Jason actually looked at it one day and he thought, maybe it would make sense to move that up. And then we started to discuss it. Nick got involved in the discussion. I'm in the discussion. And then we're all like, yeah. And then Boris is like, make it happen. So we did it. Yep. And yeah, it really made so much sense to put it up on top. There's no more digging down, drilling down, trying to find it. And we also made it a little bit easier to use. You'll notice over the years from the previous incarnation of the pixel chooser, the new one is now, it's completely redesigned. We broke it down into 3 segments, where you've got masking, different to matting, different to gradients. So there's 3 different ways to work with the pixel chooser. We just made that a little more cleaner and easier to access for everybody.
Much appreciated, I think. from a user perspective. Definitely.
I think this actually goes back to one of your earlier questions, Ben, too, to me, when you were talking about the future of Continuum. And when you look at the effects, and I think the evolution of effects as we go forward, I think you're going to see that with other effects. How can we make certain features within an effect, or add certain features to an effect that you're already using, making it more accessible and making it more simple to use? And the engineering team this time around, just with Mocha, while very simple, just making out a button that's easier accessible at the top of the effect. And then after you perform your tracking tasks, is heading back into the host where the mask is already applied. That is that step forward in the direction that we're going. And then on this version, you might have noticed as well, when Ian was showing the actual film glow effect, you might have noticed some new presets sneak up in there. Some because of the effects editor, but also the person I'm just staring at right now here on my screen. Ben, you created some of those. So I'm having these curated, beautiful presets that you can apply kind of film glows with treatments in mind. I know that you mentioned several of those there, as well as another effect called smear blur, where you've added some treatments that can be applied to elements such as text, and how you could actually use some of these filters on text treatments, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to take a brief look at those filters in a second as well. But thank you very much for calling them out. I think they're yeah, I like with almost all the presets that I make, like those presets pretty much happen organically of me cribbing from my old project, and I just go, oh yeah, no, that actually worked really quite nicely there. Save that as a preset, and then a few months later just go, you got any presets for us? Well, maybe I do. So I just pop into the presets folder that I've been building up and just go, there we go, have some of these. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about Continuum and Sapphire actually, is how easy it is to just make your own presets and save them in a place where it actually makes sense to have them, so you can move them around between machines, between applications as well. So you're never sort of stuck with a preset that you really like, but you can only use it in that one specific project on that one specific machine. It's always very very flexible and transportable in that way.
I mean, I gotta say, back in the days when I was, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Okay. I was just gonna say, when I was bouncing between facilities back in the day, freelancing and stuff, presets were an amazing way to help different companies reinforce their brand for whatever it was. So, as an artist, it's great to just jump in there and use it as a starting point. But if you're a company and you have people coming in and going out all the time, it's a great way to assure that your color correction or your graphics or any of that stuff has that look that you've dialed in over that time. So, thank you for that.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, house identity and house presets are, just the lifeblood of so many projects, just to make sure that there's consistency, even though you don't have consistency within a team necessarily. You've always got consistency of look at the end.
Totally.
Yes. Speaking towards that, actually. Oh, sorry, Ben. I know I cut you off there again, but I had to add on to one of Ian's points, which is just on a video that we recently worked on. I had cut a video for a release of Continuum FCP and was using a series of presets. And I saved all of these presets knowing that I would eventually have to do some editing work in Premiere Pro. And so just adding also the ability that you have these lightweight XML files with the effects editor, that you can travel cross-platform between editing systems, especially when you might be forced into a collaborative workflow or need to be on another editor that you're not commonly used to. You can carry those presets with you there. So that saved me in those instances earlier this year.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's just make it easy, make it portable, and make it so that people want to use them. So that's it. We are going to have to keep moving on. We got we got a lot to go through still, and time, she keeps on a ticking. So before we head over to the next section, we got two more presentations coming up. In just a moment, I'm going to be talking about particle illusion and some of the new stuff that is happening there. There's a lot of new stuff. I'm going to be talking about just a wee tiny bit of it. And coming up after that, Nick is going to be taking us through some of the new things that are happening with Continuum transitions, which is actually, really, really exciting, and you'll want to hang around for that. One of the reasons why you might want to hang around for that is because we are giving away stuff. We've already given away a couple of licenses for Particle Illusion Premium, and we're going to be giving away an annual subscription to the full Continuum Suite now, to one lucky winner. So let's give that away, and we'll see what we can see. Okay, so our next winner is going to be Dave Porcino. Dave, congratulations, you are the winner today of the annual subscription of Continuum, $695 value. Well done, Dave. If you haven't done so already, there is still time to enter for the big prize of the day, which is the copy of the Boris FX Suite. We're giving away an annual subscription to the Boris FX Suite, $1295.00 in value, and that is going to be given away to one lucky winner. How do I win? Well, just by being on the live stream, everyone's a winner. But how do you specifically win the Boris FX Suite? You go over to borisfxlive.com, you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you enter your name and email address, and you join in our prize giving. Full terms and conditions can be found on the website. Excellent. I think we'll keep cracking on then. It's going to be my turn to speak and to show you some new stuff. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to see if I can press the right button to show my screen. That is not the right button. So I am just going to find a different screen and see if this is the right button. Yes, it is. There we go. Ooh. This is what happens when you have lots and lots of screens, but not a clue about how to work with them all. All right. I'm going to be taking a look at particle illusion, and specifically some of the new features that we have in particle illusion, including 3D model import, including Cinema 4D and OBJ models, and just some of the other stuff that we can be doing within the After Effects version of particle illusion as well, to let masks and text drive the particles in a different way than we've had it before. So I think what I'll do is actually I'm just going to start off with a blank composition, because this is always a fun place to start. I always feel very, very comfortable and confident starting with a blank composition and a blank solid, which I will call particle illusion 3D models, because that's what we're going to look at. And I'm going to come into particle illusion. Thank you very much. And obviously when we apply particle illusion, nothing is going to happen, because we've actually got to tell it what particle illusion is going to, needs to do. So I'm going to load up the particle illusion interface, and let's take a little look here. So over on the left-hand side, we have our emitter presets, and we have thousands of presets that come for free with particle illusion, and each version, as you can see there, we have numbered versions in the emitter libraries as well, and we create lots of fun new emitters as well. Something that's actually relatively new is this concept of the plus presets, and these aren't just emitters as we would normally think of them. These are entire scenes. So if I come into something like the 3D shape HUD here. Just double click on that. You know, we've got entire scenes set up with, you know, multiple different shapes doing things, plus different forces and deflectors. They can all be saved as scene objects. We can then animate around them and change things up. But I think one of the most interesting things for me anyway, not just being able to look around at some of the new presets, but it's the ability to come in and work with 3D models. So what I'll do is I'll just take a preset here, Data Cube Compute. I'll hide my presets because I don't need to look at those anymore. And this is what we've got. So we've got a preset coming in. I might want to actually make sure that this is coming in at the right frame. There we go. So there's a preference for that, which I usually have set up on my normal machine, which starts all of my stuff at frame 0. Hence my confusion why it wasn't turned on. But that's what happens when you work on a new machine. So we can see we've got a shape popping in here as our main emitter model, and so our shape has usually been sort of constrained. Well, for a long time, it's actually constrained to points and lines and flat 2D areas. And then we were able to expand this out into boxes and spheres. And now we have 3D models that we can use as our shapes. And we could choose our model files. So these can either be Cinema 4D files or OBJ files. And Particle Illusion comes with a number of these just as sort of bundled models as well, but you can create your own or download any from the huge number of 3D models that are available in online libraries now. And I can choose something. What will I choose? Let's see. I've got some fun little ones here. Some spiky stuff, some torus, twisted torus. I'll just take a cylinder actually to begin with, and we'll just play that back. And you can see that as soon as I've changed my model up, you know, the look of the thing actually changes completely as well. Now, one of the other big things that has been a sort of focus of Particle Illusion 2022.5 has been, you know, the ability to work with the, you know, usability thing. So we have the ability to come in and not only just sort of translate things up just by dragging around, but we have 3D gimbals as well now. So if I come into my rotate tool, I have a little 3D rotating gimbal. I can come in here and I can just sort of rotate a little bit around there. And just do a free rotate maybe. Look at that, lovely. And to sort of rotate and find out what it is I want to do with this model. And it's all nice and interactive. We've even got like world coordinates as well. So if you've got everything kind of rotated in space, you don't want to have to think about, you know, what's going on with these X, Y, and Z axes in this sort of rotated 3D space if you just want to move something to the left. So you hit it into world coordinates, and I can just move this over to the left and not have to think about actually what is going on in the X, Y, and Z position, which we can see over on the left-hand side. So I'll move that back. Actually, this is, oh, there we go. It's all changing up there. So that's kind of nice to have up there. The other thing that's changed up is everything is much more easy to see and easy to change. So one of the big things has been getting rid of having to delve down and twiddle down into lots and lots of different depths of twiddle knobs. Like these are all open for you by default. Again, we've got preferences that we can come in and change this up. So, we've got add new objects at frame 0, which is what I wanted to do, and always open all parameters. Make sure that we have all of our parameters open all the time. So let's close that for a second. Another thing that has been on my wish list for a little while, and I know it's been a point of pain for some people as well, is being able to just simply change colors up. And now we can use the nodes to be able to do that. So if I double click on the color swatch or the gradient here, it actually opens up my gradient editor. So I can come in, I can change up the colors. What am I doing here? Are we doing a classic magenta green? Yes, we are. All right. And then we can come in and maybe we'll change up this as well. We'll do another sort of darker green. Why not? To what should we do on this one? A proper, that's not a mauve, is it? It's not a mauve. I'm not sure what that is. It's a pink. It's a pinky pink. There we go. Cool. So, and we've got that playing back nice and happily. The same goes for the shapes as well. So if I wanted to come in and change one of the shapes, we can easily do that just by double clicking on the shape in the node, and it brings up our shape editor. So we've got our whole library of shapes now that we can choose from. And as I move through these, you can see them updating in real time as well. Maybe that's going to be quite nice, I think. So we'll just turn that on, have a little look at that. Lovely. So I actually want this to be a little bit more dynamic now. And this is where we have like the core of, particle illusion coming in and working in our favor. So we have things like position turbulence. We can barely see that actually. So maybe if I come in and we have wireframe models that we can show on the 3D model. So we've got a wireframe there. We've also got on the what they're called, particles. That's the word. Particles themselves. We've also got the ability to draw lines up here. So on the moving hexes, I have lines being drawn, and they're very, very thin lines. We can hardly see them. So I'm going to make the thickness a lot higher. I'll turn the opacity down. But I mean, that's going to be a lot more visible now as it moves through. And we have the ability to do things like, position turbulence, and that's affecting the lines as they're moving around. I can keyframe this, so everything's sort of stuck and static. Let's sort of just add a couple of keyframes, move that out, and I can do the same like within the actual particle areas themselves as well. So we have things like position turbulence on the particle, which is set to 0. So it means that even though the emitter is telling all the particles to move around and waggle around, only the ones that have any sort of position turbulence are actually going to do it. So I can sort of keyframe this up maybe, and sort of just bring this. Actually, I'll bring this up really high to sort of get rid of that a little bit. So we can have those really moving around and possibly dying at some point. So we have the lifespan over here. So I'll keyframe the life up so that the particles are born, but they live very short but happy lives. I like to think they live very, very fulfilled lives, even though they're very short. And I can do the same with the wireframes here. I'll just keyframe all of this up. I'm not going to spend too long on this. We'll see what happens as we work through it. And we'll come into here, and I have my wireframe opacity here, and we'll just turn that down to 0. So, or close to 0. So, you know, it's as you can see, as I'm just sort of scrubbing it through, it's very reactive to the changes that I'm making. And I can even come in and look at what's happening in the curve editor. So see with the life here, sort of zoom in, I can make changes up in here as well. And you know, those are going to be updated and nice and fast as we work through this. Maybe at the end, I'll do one last thing before we move on to more fun stuff, because I want to show you this thing which is size over life. So we have this sort of concept of over life, which means that as the particles live, or particles get born, they start at a certain size, and as they die, or as they go through their life, enter into middle age, they get to another size, and as they die, they get to a different size as well. Just like all of us, I like to think. So now I've got particles starting off really, really small as they're born, spending most of their life at the same sort of size, and at the very, very end, they just sort of not explode, but expand, get big just before the inevitable happens to them. Goodbye, Mr. Particles. There we go. Right, we'll leave that there. I could keep tinkering. We also have another little button down at the bottom of the workspace, which just tells us, click on this. It's going to show us some camera controls. So in After Effects, we can actually use After Effects cameras to drive the particle illusion camera. Or we can use the built-in camera as well. So all hosts that we have particle illusion in can use the built-in camera, and After Effects just, you know, has the ability to come in and do a little bit more, because we can use the After Effects camera there. So if I just add some keyframes here, I'll move us towards the end, and I'll zoom us in. Well, it's not actually zooming. I'm actually moving the camera closer towards the center point, and I'll spin us around just using the orbit camera, and I'll tumble, and I'll do a bit of a rotate. Should we do a big spin? No, let's not do a big spin. Let's do a normal size spin. Let's see how that looks. So we're coming in. Yeah, that's fine. That seems like it's going to work. And everything's going to just sort of disappear and die. Hey, good. So we got it to this stage, and I'm thinking, actually, do you know what, Ben? I kind of fancy a bit more animation on this 3D model. And we can absolutely do that, because we have the ability to change up the model scale as well. So if I want to maybe have this building up from 0, so it just starts off as a ring, builds up into this, you know, the bigger cylinder, and maybe we'll just keep pushing this out just a little bit. Maybe not expand it too much, but we can just sort of get a little bit more sort of dynamism with this, just like that. There we go. And then at some point, our particles are going to go whoosh and spread around. Okay. So it's looking all right. Now, at the start of the stream, I said that there was a few little things that we can do to make these go from starting to look all right to actually looking really nice. And one of the things that we can do is just using depth of field on the camera. So we can choose, you know, what's going to be sharp and what's going to be out of focus. And I'm actually just going to use, because I'm using the orbit camera here, there's a really easy way of cheating this. Like the distance and the focal length, if those are the same, then my focus is always going to be in the center. So anything at 0, 0 is going to be focused, and everything that's not at 0, 0 is going to be blurred out to some sort of way. So we're starting to get something that's kind of interesting. Maybe not finished, but kind of interesting. But I'm going to hit apply and then bring this back into After Effects and do the final bits in here. So now I've got this sorted in After Effects. I'm actually just going to add another couple of filters to this. We can do lots of different things. And if you want to know what some of those lots of different things are, head on over to watch the Particle Illusion training series, mainly by John Dickinson, but there's also a little bit of me in there as well. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to add a adjustment layer and a couple of my favorite new effects. And the first one I'm going to use is actually BCC Plus Smear Blur. And what this is going to do is it's going to come in and it's going to just, blur stuff out in a smeary kind of way. If you're ever in doubt about what an effect can do, head to the effects editor and take a little look, because some of these presets these presets are going to show you what some of the ideas that you can do with a particular look absolutely are. And I kind of like, actually I like the vertical text smear, because that's giving me some swirls, but it's not kind of overtaking all of this. And if we take a little look in the metadata now, you'll see there's the author. It's Ben Brownlee, and this is something that I love about the new and improved FX editor. You can take credit for the effects and presets that you make. You just put your name in there when you save them out. So you've got metadata you can put, so tags, add a little description, tell everyone who the author is. So no more having having that Herbert in the edit suite next to you take credit for the effects that you made, but they just nabbed from your system. All right, so we're kind of getting somewhere there. That's sort of nice. And I also mentioned earlier in one of my top 3 effects, one of them was going to be BCC Plus wide angle lens. And I like this for many reasons. Like, one of the reasons is that it just gives us this, big, we can go really big on it, and it sort of gives us this nice sort of distortion. The other thing I like is that we can sort of control and get, sort of stylized looks out of it. It's actually here to kind of help to compensate for wide angle lenses, or to, sort of repair that. But I sort of like just getting it and using it to sort of make the effect that we're creating not so like CG, not so perfect. So things start warping and changing around just a little bit. Looking at this, again, we have really, really perfect lines. So here's an effect that a couple of people mentioned earlier, and they stole my favorites right from under my nose. But this is a one called BCC Plus Prism, and I love this for just giving like a sort of chromatic aberration look. We've got lots of looks that we can do with this, but a bit of chromatic aberration. I'm actually going to leave this at default, and the only thing I'm going to do is come into the pixel chooser, turn this on, view my matte mask, make an ellipse, invert it, soften it, and maybe make it a little bit smaller. That's it. So if I turn this off now, the stuff in the center is going to stay, primo and unaffected, and the stuff towards the edges is going to start to kind of give us this really nice, chromatic aberrated look. And I really enjoy this. And we can play around with this a little bit more, add in not blurs, glows and things, but we'll kind of leave that there. One last thing, actually, if someone comes up to you and like the last second says, yeah, I kind of like the look, but I think the model you've chosen is wrong, or, you know, I think we can do do something better. Here's a new model for you. All you have to do is just swap that out. So I'll take a little gem here instead. And we then have our new shape in here as well. I'll do exactly the same as I did previously. Like the only thing that gets blown out on this is the scale keyframes, but everything else stays the same. Let's sort of take this down actually. Bring that there, please. Thank you. Just grab that round about there. Come over here. And I'm overthinking this way too much for just showing you what the effect is, but I kind of like it. And then we could just play that back. And you can see, even though we've got, you know, the particles doing what they're doing, we've got lots of other effects, or, you know, several other effects over the top of this as well. You know, depth of field. It's still actually playing back nice and nice fast. And with a bit of extra sort of TLC, we can get this looking, you know, really quite nice. I think for, you know, just a few minutes worth of work, there's definitely something there. There's an idea there anyway. Kind of like that. So that's 3D models in particle illusion. The other thing that I want to show you quickly, let's start up a new comp here. I'm going to call this one 5 text. Is another way of doing of you know, shapes that we can use for emitters. So if I type in something great and clever and brilliant like boom, we'll just center this. Lovely. Maybe make this a little bit bigger, even better. And so this is just our little text layer. I'm going to actually put a new color solid over the top, and I'll call this one PI text. There we go. Grand. And I'm going to add particle illusion to this one. And as before, particle illusion is not going to do anything until we tell it what to do. So as always, I'll start with the preset. I actually found a preset earlier that I kind of like, which is one of the sort of dusty, glittery ones. Hey, glitter fountain. Here we go. Take a look at that. Beautiful. So I'm going to just double click on this here, and that's what this gives me by default. It's a fountain of glitter. Sparks up, everything falls down. Lovely. I'm going to hit apply. And it's going to take me back into After Effects, and it's going to give me a glitter fountain. Here's where things are going to change. And this is something that's only available in the After Effects version of PI. So if I come in and set this emitter type to mask or text, I come into my emission mask text, I can actually just say, take a text from my text layer, and I'm going to turn the number down here because we've got a text layer that's going to make a lot of particles. Hey, and it's just going to explode particles out for me. Now, what if I didn't want this to explode? Would I have to go into particle illusion, change everything up? Actually, no. We can change like a ton of this stuff. We can change things like velocity. We can change weight. We could probably change that number down a little bit more as well if we only wanted this to do it. And so we've got like our boom happening across our text now. And we can animate this up as well. So if I wanted the the velocity to start off at 0, but actually as it goes through, we can build this up to the velocity that we had in the original. We can do just that. We can sort of just add in a little keyframe up here, and then all of the new particles are going to be born with that sort of right velocity. The same with the weight as well. We can keyframe all of this up. I've got a version here. Actually, this is almost the same. So the only thing I've changed on this one is I've got the regular PI text, which is the mask text emission, and I've got a copy of it over the top, which is set to add. Let's just solo this. And what this is doing is this is using the text as an emitter path. So like the glitter here is being emitted around the text. So this is the old way of doing it, or what you could do, I should say, in 2022. So this is taking the emitter and sort of tracing the text and drawing on our particles across the text. Now we can add that over the top of our text emission. And I've brought in my original text here. I've put on a BCC edge grunt, which is an effect that a lot of people sleep on because they don't see the magic in it. But this is a great one for just grunging up something nice and easily, sort of really eroding the alpha quite a bit, and we get that sort of look happening there, which is kind of nice. And then I've done, actually, I think all I did was just copy the effects that I made for the previous one. So the smear blur and the prism put over the top. And then at the end of it, we end up with something that looks a little bit.
Hey, Ben, can I jump in for a second, Ben? Ben, you're breaking up a little bit. Apologies, but maybe if you want to take a pause and give me a refresh in the meantime, while you're hitting the refresh button, let's give away a license for particle illusion. Does that make sense to Pete and Ian and Nick? Can you guys hear me?
Heck yeah. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, great. Yeah,
sure thing.
Are you hearing that, Ben? Little breaking up a little bit, or is that just me?
I was.
No, he was.
There we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give Ben a second if he can.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I've now reset.
On overdrive there, Ben.
Amazing. You're quick. So I have promised to give away another seed of particle illusion. In the meantime, I have to make good on my promise. Absolutely. So I'm a run with this, Ben. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off my camera. Oh,
nice. Let's see if I can even get my sound effects going here. And we're going to give away an annual subscription of Particle Illusion 2. And Ron Beck. And congratulations. And that is an annual sub to Particle Illusion, which Ben was so eloquently showing us. Apologies, Ben, for ruining your amazing presentation. Getting into some really good stuff there. No, but I'm gonna switch it back.
I think what it is that when I'm doing renders and vmix are maybe not the best friends. So that's what was happening there. I think I was getting a little CPU overload.
Nice to blame the computer. That's real classy move. Real classy.
That's what we do. I'm a workman who blames his tools.
Such a pro. All
right, Ben. Blames his tools.
Keep going.
No, I'm done.
Nice.
That's it.
I've killed it.
So that's it. You've ruined my mood. No, I mean that was actually what I wanted to show. There's actually a lot more happening in Particle Illusion 2022.5. If you want to learn more, absolutely head on over to the Boris FX website, go to the training section. There's a particle illusion section here, which has got I can't remember if we're up to 26 or 27 different exercises now, where we're going through the ABCs, D, E's, and F's. I don't know what we're going to do once we run out of letters. So yeah, go there. Watch the particle illusion training series. The last few have the newer features, so they're sort of, we're building these up over time. And John talks very, very eloquently about what's new in particle illusion. But there's tons and tons of really, really nice sort of quality of life changes, just little things where you don't have to come in and sort of twirl down lots of buttons or do four mouse pushes when actually everything's right in the interface for you. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone in chat who is helping me out with the technical side of things as well. Is actually genuinely much appreciated. I will be reading that and taking that on board for next time. All right. Well, Brian, you've just given away some stuff, so I don't have to do any giveaways. What I do have to do is beg for likes. That's usually what happens at this stage of the of the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that little thumbs up button if you're liking what's going on. If you're not, tell us why in the chat, but be gentle, please be very, very gentle. There is still very, very, very short amount of time to enter the giveaway to join the giveaway for the big prize of the evening, which is the Boris FX Suite. Head over to borisfxlive.com to scroll down to the bottom of the page and find out how you can do it right there. All right, let's push this thing forward. We've got one more thing to show us, and this is going to go over to Mr. Nick Harauz. Nick, you are going to be showing us new transitions in Continuum.
I'm going to be showing some new transitions in Continuum. I feel like I just repeated what you said. But let me hop into to Avid and get in here. All right. Great. So yeah, I wanted to demonstrate this in Avid, and currently right now I'm in the BCC transitions category, and everything that you see closer to the top, the BCC plus, are the new transitions that we're talking about. The first thing that I wanted to mention is that several of the effects that Ian had talked about, such as video glitch, film glow, and light leaks, have transition counterparts, which is pretty cool. And in my mind, like when you see video glitch, every once in a while, you might want to use that as a transition, or light leaks or film glow instead as a transitional element. And rather than going into the actual effect that Ian was showing, you can go into the transitions category and then just use the transition counterpart to achieve your end result, whether you drop that at the beginning of your clip or on an edit point. So I want to start off, and let's grab BCC transition dissolve, and I'll place it on the edit point of the clip here. And let's head straight into the effects mode, where we can see a similar workflow to the effects that we looked at earlier. So those 5 effects, just like that, we can actually enter the effects editor, and a workspace dedicated specifically to transitions. And there's a few different things. And one is that you can see here as I scrub, we can see both the A and B side of the edit and all of the frames of that, which is pretty cool. And you might also notice that we have some on-screen control widgets here that we can use to affect the transition timing. Before I get into that, if I draw your attention to the left, we then have all of the presets specifically for you to get started with a transition. I like this hyper end, so I'm actually going to select it. And before I make some changes to it, I want to see what this looks like in its default state. And Ian was showing you guys how you could do comparison views of effects, but we can also take snapshots of our workflow. So in fact, I'm going to take a snapshot right now of the effect in its state. And now I'm going to start to make some changes to this effect. If I show you here on the right-hand side, we're looking at the parameters of the prism dissolve. I'll make a change to the smear offset here so you can see that, how it affects the clip. In fact, we also have this center on-screen control of the effect, changing the transition. We can affect the smoothness or the stepping value that's taking place between the multiple images that are being used in this particular example, and not to mention several controls for prism weight and the colors. If I go to the bottom here, animation tuning, these properties actually refer to the on-screen controls here. So we can easily ease in our transition and ease out our transition, either by, of course, dragging on these properties or just using these lines here, which is pretty cool. We also then have a control over the overall dissolve duration, whether we want to have that sort of clamped or start right away as the transition appears in your NLE timeline. So I've made some changes from that original kind of hyper in. In fact, just so you can see it even more clear, I'll bring down the smoothness and just show that if you click on this badge next to the camera with the monitor, here's that snapshot I took, which is great. So it just allows us to compare whether that be different snapshots of our transition in the same view, which I think is really cool. Not to mention we can also integrate the original images as well. So once you're done, we can always apply this transition. And inside my effect mode here, I'll just play back how that looks. So I'm just seeing a preview again, because I'm in the effect mode in Avid, how I'm transitioning from one clip to another. Now, just one other tip. If you're new to Avid or editing inside of it, I always love saving presets in a number of ways. So I'll show you in a second how we can save a preset in the effects editor and how that might carry over to Premiere. But also wanted to mention, depending on how you work, you can always set up a bin inside your Avid projects. So I have a bin here, it's called Quick Transitions. And I'll just drag this new Prism Dissolve effect into that bin. And the cool part about that is if we use this little quick transition button, it'll bring up a pop-up screen. We could also, of course, use a shortcut to bring it up. And we have a few extra controls that we can start working with our transition without having to enter into a mode. So that is making, of course, the transition longer, and also changing where it lies on the edit point. And of course, choosing the transition that we want, including those BCC plus transitions. So I just love this feature. All it takes for you to have these transition presets load up again is just to have a bin referred to as quick transitions, and then Avid's going to see that for you. Another way for you to work with that editor. Cool. So that was one of the transitions. Let me actually hop into a bin and show you another one. Okay. And I'll head back into my effect palette again, where we're seeing all of those plus transitions. And I have to go with one of my favorites still, which is the crash zoom dissolve. So I'm going to apply that again to the edit point here. Let's just do a quick preview in the effect mode. Let me get over that transition. And let's preview that back, where we just get this beautiful whip transition kind of with a dissolve from one clip to another. And this just works excellent on any clips that have movement on it. Similar to the workflow that we just saw, I'll head back into the effects editor, where again, we have all of our presets available to us. And let me just choose the horizontal smear. I think one of the other cool things is with Continuum being such a large package, you have properties such as this prism, as well as dissolve, as well and stepping exist within all the transitions. So you just have a number or variety of controls with these transitions that aren't, first of all, available in your NLE host, and just make building your transitions and how you want those transitions to look that much easier. So here is that crash zoom again, along with its controls over here at the side. We have a delta control where we can sort of see how much we actually zoom in. We have a number of offsets for the actual smear blur or smear offset involved, and mention of prism weight. And if we were looking to have even additional motion blur when the transition happened, we can boost it with an extra level here, not to mention have a control over the shutter speed here with this value down that I'm adjusting here. Once I apply this back here into my host, and all of those same properties or controls I just want to mention are available here with whatever you're working with. So if you're in your effect controls in Premiere or your inspector in Final Cut, you're going to see a common workflow with having all of those properties available inside your host or inside the effect editor, just giving you so much choice when it comes to sort of building with those effect elements as transitions. And bringing Brian into the mix of you've edited videos for several years, and transitions were always such a big part of you putting together trailers in the past. And I think that these transitions, or this whole entire transition set, and having counterparts in comparison to the effects in certain ways, just make your life that much easier. Wanted to make mention, while not an actual plus effect, everything that Ben was showing you in particle illusion, guess what? It's also available as a particle illusion dissolve. You can access the entire particle illusion library, build your transition components inside of particle illusion, and have it mixed in with a dissolve to be used in motion graphics or video treatments as well. So I think the combination of what's possible with transitions is quite a bit.
Hey,
Brian?
Nick, let me chime in. I mean, if you ask, like, I will show up. Absolutely.
Yes.
I will say
you're there.
I feel like you were just testing me, which is a good chance that I may have been outside eating pizza. But no, absolutely. From a former editor, I think we all know more transitions. Like, anytime anything gets popular, it becomes quickly dated, right? Because you see it used all the time. The great ones, are used constantly, and then you'll get producers saying, I've seen that. What else do you have? Is there something new? Can we try something new? Can we add energy? Can we add production value? So love seeing these new transitions in Continuum, and know all my editor friends out there will agree. More. Keep it up. More presets. I don't want to do anything. I just want to apply a preset and move on and change length. So really cool. Love seeing these new transitions in Continuum.
Yeah, no, and it's just, it's great to have these presets available, not to mention just this workspace for transitions where you see your A/B point and the on-screen controls for the timing. Speaking of which, when you start to make, like you said, Brian, a transition your own, even here with Film Glow, where we're taking a look at where we have control over the color or the intensity on a specific shot. In fact, let me just make sure I am looking correctly at the effect. Yeah, I did increase that intensity indeed. All right, so here's a change to the glow intensity. Not to mention that we can actually mix it in with a color correction treatment when the transition takes place. So again, when you make these transitions or start adjusting these values, we have that ability to, of course, in Avid, save it to the quick transitions bin and access it that way. But we also have the ability to save this inside the effects editor. So this is true of those effects that we saw earlier as well, such as video glitch and magic sharp. Once you change those value, just head over here to the top right, and give your preset a new name. So I'm going to call this Bright Glow, and I'll put my name in here this time. Sorry, Ben. Any tags and descriptions, we can press OK.
Boo.
Not only is that like, oh, I know I got to change that name. I wasn't so creative this time. Now I got a conflict. But with the saving of this transition, let's say it's my Bright Glow. Another favorite feature of mine is that you can right click this and open the custom application. And any presets that you've saved, take a look at that. We've got a lightweight XML file. What kind of size is that, Brian and Ben? 3 KB and Ian? It's amazing. It's like incredibly small, lightweight, easy to transfer, send to your editor over in Premiere or Resolve, and they now have access to this transition that they can put in their piece once you've built that. Right?
Text it to me. Slack it to me. Send it whatever.
Do you want me to Slack it to you right now?
Whisper it in my ear. That's nothing.
I'm actually gonna Slack everyone right now in the group.
Absolutely.
And, maybe put it through the thread so you guys can have this as a keepsake. But yeah, lightweight file. You have over 15 transitions in the BCC Plus category that you can start using, all with presets like we saw with the effects workflow, and just something great for your editing arsenal. And as I had mentioned, if I hop over right now into Premiere and we head into our effects, you'll see here's my BCC transition category, not to mention all of those same BCC Plus transitions available for my workflow, such as mentioned, one for Light Leak there. Cool. And that's my little spiel on transitions.
Keep spieling for just a few more seconds, Nick. I've just got to reply to someone in the chat because this is what a professional host does. He juggles. So vamp.
He's
juggling
for
literally 10
tasks.
seconds.
Nick, we did have a question in the chat that I can talk about. So somebody was asking about Resolve transitions and does this work in Resolve? And the answer is absolutely. Like, there's a lot of questions about Fusion too and PI, and understandably, like, it's a really confusing when we talk about Resolve because, obviously we have standalone Fusion, then we have the Resolve inside what we call the Fusion bridge, right? That exists in Resolve. And then we have Resolve proper, and there's a bunch of different answers. Like, particle illusion is not supported inside the Fusion, which is integrated inside of Resolve. And there's a bunch of reasons why we're working towards that goal to support that, but at this time, it's just not going to work as expected. That being said, the rest of Continuum works fine within Resolve, including the transitions. All the transitions can be applied in the Resolve timeline. You can access the effects editor and all that kind of good stuff as you would expect. The one thing I always like to point out, which I think Pete pointed out in the chat, which I completely agree with, is, download a free trial. That's really what our free trial is for. Like, there's going to be a watermark on it, but it is fully functional, and it allows you to kind of check out these kind of nuances, right? Like, is it going to work in Fusion, or am I worried that these, transitions aren't going to work in Resolve? Definitely, like, that's what it's for. It has no limitations except for a big red X over it. But if you jump on a monthly sub, or, annual sub or permanent license, obviously that goes away. So definitely download the free trial. Check that out in your various hosts. If you're wondering about, does this work in Vegas? Does this work in Nuke? There are so many OFX hosts as well, including Resolve. So that is my answer to that. How about that, Mr. Brownlee, for a vamp?
Do you know what? I couldn't have said it better myself. Right? That was an excellent vamp.
Unbelievable.
I loved it.
All
it.
right.
No, that was perfect. Great presentation, Nick. Like, I'm gonna just echo what Brian said. We want more presets. More. More presets.
More presets.
Yeah,
better. Some tweaks and
more presets
and ready to use.
Yep, that's it. That's it. The only thing I want to do is slap it on, make sure it's 12 frames long if it's a fast one, or 40 frames long if it's a long one, and that's it. That's going to be all of my transition work. I'm a hunter. I'm not a gatherer. Don't even know if that makes sense. All right.
I'm going to go with it.
Shall we move along from that now? I think we should. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to all of our presenters so far, including to myself. That's been it's been a good presentation so far. But don't go anywhere. All the presenters don't go anywhere yet, either, because we're going to come back and say our goodbyes in just a second. I've got some good things to do though. I'm going to give away a prize. I'm going to give away our final big prize. But before I do that, if you haven't done so already, you have enjoyed spending the time with us today, hit that like button underneath the video on YouTube. It costs you nothing. It helps us out a great deal. It actually really does. So it's always appreciated. But for the time being, if you've already done that, let's give away some stuff. Brian, do we have the final big winner available to us?
We do. All right, here we go.
Okay, here we go. So the winner of our big prize of the stream, the Boris FX Suite, that is everything that we make, is Daniel Stumpf. Daniel Stumpf. Congratulations, Daniel. You are today's big winner, apart from the moral victory that I think everyone has had today. I was going to say congratulations for winning the Boris FX Suite. That's everything that we make, including Continuum we've seen today, Sapphire, and Mocha Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. If you have won today, we'll be in contact with you within the next 24 hours to tell you how to claim your prize. In fact, we'll probably just be sending you your prize. If you haven't won today, never fear. You can always do what Brian says. Go download a free trial version and check everything out for yourself, or head on over to borisfxlive.com in the next few days and see when the next chance for you to win is going to be. All right, and with that being said, I want to say goodbye to all of our guests. Can I have the everyone in there? I just want to see people's faces when I say goodbye to them. I want to say goodbye, Nick Harauz, goodbye, Peter McAuley, and of course, goodbye, Ian Robinson, new friend of the show, Ian Robinson. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for watching out there. If you haven't caught all of the show, watch the replay. We are here and around immediately as soon as this finishes. But my name is Ben Brownlee for Boris FX, and I will see you at the next Boris FX Live very shortly. All right, take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye for now.
Ben.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.